Okay, students, so today we're going to do some reading practice for our activity. So you can pause the video and read by yourself and see how you do, or you can read with me. This is called Nicole's Summer Vacation. Every summer, Nicole goes to the countryside for a month. She stays at her uncle's farm and helps him. She works very hard, but she likes it because she loves to spend time with her cousin Macy. Every morning she wakes up at 6 o'clock. First, she collects the eggs and feeds the chickens. Then she has breakfast at 6:30, and after breakfast, she helps her aunt with the house chores for an hour. She can't wait to spend time with her cousin Macy. They always have a great time together. They climb trees, pick fruits and flowers. They love being outdoors. They come back home before dark and get ready for dinner. After dinner, they go out and feed the animals. Before they go to bed, they watch TV for a little bit or read books. They are always very tired at the end of the day and usually fall asleep watching TV or reading. So I think most of those words you'll probably know. Chores, where's the word chores? Chores is the word we use in English to talk about jobs that you do around the house, like sweeping the floor or taking out the trash. Those are called chores. Things that you have to do regularly, every day. Ooh, sorry. So the questions are, where does Nicole go in summer? So the answers for that are, she goes to a big city, she goes to her uncle's farm, she goes to her cousin's hotel, or she goes camping. So we know that every summer Nicole goes to the countryside for a month. She stays at her uncle's farm and helps him. So we know that the answer to that one, let's see, let me get my little pen out. So the answer is going to be B. She goes to her uncle's farm. Which one of the following questions you cannot answer? Which one of the following questions you cannot answer? So, which one of these questions can you not answer? So, the answers are, how long does Nicole stay at her uncle's farm? So let's see if there's the answer to that. So we're looking for this question. It's asking which of these is not answered in the story or does not give us the answer. So the first one is, how long does Nicole stay at her uncle's farm? So we learned in this sentence that every summer Nicole goes to the countryside for a month. So we learned that one. So it's not going to be A. How does Nicole help her uncle and aunt? So we know that she collects eggs and feeds the chickens. So she helps out around on the farm. So we know that answer. What does Nicole do before she goes to bed? We know that answer because in this sentence, before they go to bed, when it says they, it just means Nicole and her cousin. They watch TV for a little bit or read books. So we know that answer. What's her favorite food? Now, in this story, if you'll remember, we never learned about what Nicole's favorite food is. They never talked about it. They just said what she does when she's at the farm, at her uncle's farm. So the answer to this is, what is her favorite food, or what's her favorite food? That's the question that we don't have an answer to in the reading. Which of the following, the S shouldn't be there. Which of the following isn't or is not true about Macy and Nicole? Macy is her cousin. So the first answer is Macy and Nicole can climb trees. Let's see if that one is or is not true. So let's look for the words climbing trees. So we are looking. Oh, right here. They climb trees, pick fruits and flowers. So we know that Macy and Nicole can climb trees. So it is true. We're looking for something that is not true. They have a good time together. So I think they have a good time together. After reading this, it sounds like they have a lot of fun. So I think that they do have a good time together. That is true. They live together. This one, we know that Nicole and Macy don't live in the same house because Nicole goes to the countryside for a month and she stays at her uncle's farm and helps him. So that means that when she goes, it means that she doesn't already live there and she only stays for a month. It's a vacation. So that means that the answer is going to be C. C is not true. They do not live together. So that's why that's the answer. So this is the next reading. Again, you can pause the video and read along, or you can read with me. Last summer, we decided to spend our vacation at the beach because the weather was very hot in the mountains. The travel agent said that traveling by bus was the cheapest way, but we went by plane because it was faster. We wanted to have more time to spend at the beach. The weather was beautiful, and we had a great time. So these are the questions for the reading. So not a lot of things to read, but we've got a lot of questions. This first question, we decided to go to the beach because it was cheaper than going to the mountains. The travel agent said that it was the cheapest. The hot weather in the mountains, or we wanted to spend time at the beach. So let's look at this. It says, let's look for we decided. It says, we decided to spend our vacation at the beach because, so this is why. When you see the word because in English, it's telling you why something happened. So it's telling us, whatever comes after because is telling us why they decided to spend their vacation at the beach. The weather was very hot in the mountains. So we know that they went to the beach because of the hot weather in the mountains. So that's the answer. The bus was the blank way to travel. So why did they take the bus? The answers are, it was the best way to travel, the easiest way to travel, the cheapest way to travel, or the slowest. Now, we'll see that it says that the bus was the cheapest way. So we know that the answer is going to be the cheapest, right? The cheapest. In English, when we use EST at the end of a word, that is describing something. So for example, the main word in this word in English is easy. But if you say easiest, it means the most easy. When you say cheapest, it means the most cheap. When you say slowest, it's the most slow. So that's why you could probably recognize some of these words, but if you don't know what the EST at the end means, it just means it makes that word that's describing it the most of whatever it is. So traveling by plane was then by bus. So the reason it says, but we went by plane because, this is what, because it's going to tell us why, it was faster. So they took the plane. Traveling by plane was faster than by bus. We are vacation. So in the story, it says the weather was beautiful and we had a great time. So that means that they had a good time. They liked it. So we're going to read these words. We hated our vacation. We did not like our vacation. We enjoyed our vacation, or we regretted our vacation. So hated means you really didn't like it. Didn't like is just did not like. So it means that instead of saying we did like it, it means we did not. So they did not have a good time on their vacation. Enjoyed, you'll notice that all of these are past tense, right? This has an ed, hated has an ed. This one says did instead of don't. This one has an ed, and this one has an ed. Enjoyed is the past tense of enjoy. Enjoy means that you really liked doing it. And regretted means, in English, it means when you think about something that you did and that you wish that you did not do it. That's what regretted means. So since we know that they really liked, they had a great time on their vacation, the only one that talks about having a good time is enjoyed, right? So that's the answer. We had very weather during our vacation. So this says that the weather was beautiful. So when we say in English that the weather was beautiful, it means that it was really good weather. It wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold, and that's what we mean when we say beautiful weather. So if they had beautiful weather for their vacation, does that mean it was good, freezing, terrible, cold? Freezing and cold are pretty much the same thing. Freezing is usually what people say when it's really, really cold. Terrible means bad. So we know that the weather was beautiful. So that's why the answer for this question is going to be good. We had very good weather during our vacation. All right, so we're going to read this paragraph. And the way it's set up is the words that are underlined, you have to pick the one that's correct. You have to pick the one that is right. So when we come across the underlined words, the words that have the lines under them, we're going to stop and choose the one, and we're going to test out each one. So the first sentence says, my name is Alan. I is 16 years old. I am 16 years old. I do 16 years old, or I are 16 years old. So we know that it is going to be am, right? Because when we talk about present tense, we can use it the to be form, right? To be. It can be is, am, or are. And it changes based on who we're talking about. If we say you, we use are. If we say they or we use are. We are, they are. If we say he, or she or it, we use is, right? But if we say I, we use the word am. I am 16 years old. The reason, so it's not going to be is, it's not going to be are. It isn't going to be do, because when you do something in English, it means that you're doing an action. It means that there's an action going on. When you're 16 years old, that's your age. It's not something that you can act out. So that's why it is I am, not I do 16 years old. It's I am 16 years old. I don't have a large family. I don't work a large family. I don't has a large family. I don't live a large family. Okay, so we're going to go through and get rid of the ones that are not correct. So I do not, or I don't blank a large family. Well, we know it's not going to be work, right? Because work is a verb that means like you go to work, right? It's something that you do. Whether it's I work in my garden, meaning you get stuff done, right? You get stuff done and sometimes you're paid for it, or it's something that needs to be done. And it's not going to be live. I don't live a large family. That's not right, because I don't live a large family. That's that verb is not talking about. It's talking about like you could say I do not live with a large family, but with isn't in there, so we can't use live. So we're down to have or has. And remember, the word have is present tense, and the word has is present tense. The only difference is we use have or has if it changes because of who we're talking about. So just like in the sentence before, we're talking about I. When we say I, we use the word have and not has. The only way you would use has is if you said she does not, or she has. If you didn't have the don't here, it would be she has a large family. So it's not going to be has either. I live with my parents and her brother. I live with my parents and my brother. I live with my parents and I brother. I live with my parents and he brother. So we know it's not going to be her, because her means a woman, right? And I mean, I've never met a woman named Alan, but they could have the name Alan. But for the sake of the story, we're going to say that Alan is a boy. So I live with my parents and her. Also, the other problem with saying her, why we wouldn't use it, is her and he. We wouldn't use either of these because they are what we call third person. It means that we're talking about somebody else. That's one person that is not us. It's not me. So that's why it's not her or he, because it says I live. So we're talking about the first person, meaning I, me, right? We're not talking about her or he. So that's why it's not her or he. I live with my parents and, now, my or I. The reason we say my and not I and I brother is because the word my is possessive. It means that they are yours or whoever's. You could say my or theirs. When it says my, it means that it is my brother. It means it's not your brother, it's not somebody else's brother, it's my brother. I also have a puppy dog. In English, this isn't super common to say, but sometimes people will say this. They say puppy dog. Dog, right, is in English is the thing that barks. It's the pet, and puppy is the baby version of a dog. People in English say puppy dog because they mean to just say puppy. You could just say, I also have a puppy. Or you could say, I also have a dog. Puppy tells them how old the dog is. It means that it's a baby dog. And in English, sometimes people say puppy dog. It just means that it's a puppy. It's a baby dog. Its name is King. It name is King. His name is King. He name is King. So this one, you could either do, depending on whether or not you think the dog King is a boy or not, you could say his name or you could say its name. Since we don't know if it's a girl or a boy, King in English usually means a guy because the word king is what we call like a ruler that's a guy, and we call a queen is when it's a girl. But so since it's called King, you could say his name because he is, remember, third person. It's talking about somebody that isn't you. His means somebody that is not you. That's one person, but it's something that they own. It's something that's theirs. So that's why you use his. You oh, you couldn't say it's either. Sorry, I was confusing you. So it is, right? So the little apostrophe is right here. So this is a contraction. So it means it is named King. If it's just said, this is where English gets confusing. If it just said ITS, oh, that's hard to see. If it just said ITS, and there was no apostrophe, that one means it's possessive. This one means it is. So it's not going to be it's not going to be it, and it's not going to be he. So it's his. My mom is a teacher. She work at a high school. She works at a high school. She go at a high school. She is at a high school. So if somebody says that their mom is a teacher, does it mean that she is right now at a high school, or probably that she has a job there? So she has work at a high school. So we know that it's not going to be go and it's not going to be is. So it's going to be work or works. And you need to pick which one. So she work at a high school. Now, because we said she, we know that when we're using the present tense, right, she works, the simple present, meaning she does it a lot, we have to put an S at the end, right, because there's a she. If it said I, it would be I work at a high school. But since it's somebody else, it's his mom, she works at a high school. She teaches Spanish. My dad is an engineer. He works for a big company. He can drive or jump his bike to work. He can drive or read his bike to work. He can drive or run his bike to work. He can drive or ride his bike to work. So this one is just knowing which is the correct verb, what the verbs mean. Jump means when you move up and down, like on a pogo stick. So it's not going to be jump, right? Because you can't jump a bike. You can't jump your bike. You can't read a bike, right? Because reading is when you're like reading a book or reading words. You can't run a bike because if you run a bike, it means that you're running right next to it. So that's why you have to use the word ride. Or ride. Oops, I crossed it out. You need to use ride. He can drive or ride his bike to work. I have a brother. Her name is Ryan. They name is Ryan. His name is Ryan. He name is Ryan. So this sentence, Ryan, I've actually heard Ryan be a girl's name or a guy's name. I've met people that go by Ryan that are girls. I've met people that their name is Ryan and they're a guy. So you could use his or her. They don't, you could say her name is Ryan or his name is Ryan. But the reason we're going to say his is because it says, I have a brother. When it says brother, it means that it's a boy. So that's why we're not going to use her or they or he. Sometimes, if they didn't say brother and it just said their name is Ryan, if it didn't tell us that it was a brother or a sister, we would say their name is Ryan. If they just said I have a sibling, they would say their name is Ryan, instead of he or her. He is 10 years old. He lives to elementary school. He speaks to elementary school. He buys to elementary school, or he goes. The answer is going to be he goes. Because you can't live at the elementary school, speaks to the elementary school doesn't really make sense because speak is talk, buy, he's not going to buy to elementary school. When you say to, it means that you're moving. It means that you're going from one place to the other. So you go from home to work. You go from the first floor to the second floor. That's what to means. So you need to use goes because you're moving. He works basketball and tennis. He drinks basketball and tennis. He eats basketball and tennis, or he plays basketball and tennis. This one's pretty easy. It's he plays because you can't eat basketball and tennis. You can't drink basketball and tennis. And he could work hard at basketball and tennis, right? You could say, oh, they work really hard at basketball or tennis. But for this sentence, the way it's set up, it's going to be he plays, right? Because it's simple present tense. So we're using the simple present tense of the verb. So he plays. So we don't have to add anything, which is why we don't use the word works. He plays basketball and tennis. Me love my family. My love my family. I love my family, or your love my family. So it's not your, because your is not talking about ourselves, right? Me, and my talk about myself or me. My is possessive. My love my family. There's already a my in there, so we know that it's possessive. So we're not going to use my. Me love my family. That's incorrect. What we need to use is the first person, or I. I love my family. So this next one is like a poster that you could see up at work or at the library or somewhere around town. So we're going to read the poster and answer some questions. Come and join our lunchtime yoga class with experienced yoga teacher Divya Bridge. When? Every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. Where? Meeting room 7. How much? $10 for 4 30-minute classes. What to bring? Comfortable clothes. Divya will provide the yoga mats. How to join? Write to Sam at sam.holder sam.holden@example.com. We can only take a maximum of 20 in the room, so book now. So let's go over the questions and then we can go over some of the confusing words in it. So which day of the week does the yoga class take place? So we know that when somebody asks you what day of the week, or they say day of the week, it means Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. That's a day of the week. So the answer is every Tuesday. So every Tuesday is when the yoga class takes place. How many classes can you take for, oh, this says 10 pounds. So this is supposed to say $10. Ooh, let me fix that. $10. So we know that it's $10 for 4, right? It says 4 30-minute classes. So you can take 4 classes. And then what time will the class end? Let's see. So it says 30-minute classes. So this is kind of a hard question. You got to look at a couple things. So when it says what time will the class end, it means that on every Tuesday, when is it over? So we know that this class starts at 1:30 p.m., so 1:30 in the afternoon, and we know that the classes are 30 minutes. So we need to figure out what comes 30 minutes after 1:30, and that's 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock p.m. is when the class ends, right? So 2 o'clock is when the class ends. What kind of clothes do you need to wear to the class? So this asks what to bring. Comfortable clothes. So when it says what kind in English, it usually means how would you describe them. And this says comfortable. Comfortable clothes need to be worn when you go to the class. What do you need to send to Sam if you want to join? Okay, who's Sam? Let's figure that out. So this says write to Sam at sam.holden@example.com. So this sentence is kind of confusing. It just says write to Sam at samholden@example.com. What does that even mean? So when you see something like this, there's a bunch of words in the beginning, and then there's this symbol right here, and then it has more words, and then .com. This is an email. This is what we call an email. And it's spelled just how it sounds. It's the word mail with an E in front of it. Email. So email is what we use, it's how we send stuff to each other through computers or our phones. And when somebody says write to Sam or write to somebody at this email address, it means to send them an email to let them know, for this example, that you want to join the class. So you would email Sam with this email that you want to join the class. So that's what you need to send to Sam. When should you book if you want to join? Okay, book means in English, when somebody says, so book now, they're not talking about like a reading book. They're not talking about that. Book now is a phrase that we use to register, or it means to sign up. That's what book means. So it says, when should you book if you want to join? There's another phrase in English we use called as soon as possible, or you could just say immediately or when you can, but it needs to, you need to do it quickly because it says that they only take a maximum of 20 in the room, meaning only 20 people can take the class. So that's why you need to make sure you email as soon as possible. So that's all of the questions for that one, but let's talk about some of the words in here. So yoga, yoga is what this is. It's where it's like where you meditate, it's where you stretch. It's, from what I understand, it is a practice. It's like a religious practice, I think, from India, but a lot of people in the United States use it as a form of exercise. They use it to stretch their muscles. They use it to kind of relax and be calm. So that's what people in the US do, use it for a lot of the times. Not everybody, but most of the people I know that do yoga do it for the stretching, and they don't actually do it as a religious thing. So that's what yoga is. So experienced, when this is being used to describe something, experienced yoga teacher, you'll see that it's past tense. It means that they have done it a lot. That's what experienced means. So if somebody asked, oh, do you have any experience with, do you have any, what's a good question? Do you have any housekeeping experience? You could say, yes, I'm very experienced with housekeeping, or I'm very experienced with operation, sanitizing operation instruments. I'm very experienced with that. So you could say things like that. Let's see, what's some other stuff? So that's what people mean when they say, oh, do you have any experience? It just means, have you done this before, or have you done it a lot? And you can say, yes, I have lots of experience, or I am very experienced. Those are the ways you can say it. So, sorry, I'm very yawning a lot. So we talked about this. This is an email. Maximum means most, like the most. So you'll see words on buildings or rooms that say maximum occupancy. Occupancy means people inside, and maximum means the most. So when it says they can only take a maximum of 20 people, it means they can only have 20 people in the class, and it can't be 21 or 40. It can't go over 20. It has to be under 20. So that's what maximum means. Okay, so for this one, I wanted to do like little sticky notes that I don't know how your supervisors talk to you guys, whether they're always in the office, but sometimes they leave notes. So these are supposed to be 2 notes that you would find maybe at work. The first one says, Corey is leaving the office at 4 p.m. today. Please remember to lock the doors. The keys are in the drawer. So that's the first note. The second note says, meeting today at 2 in the Shoreline conference room, right? So the questions are, when is the meeting? All right, so this one is the one that is talking about a meeting, and it says that the meeting is at 2. So that means that the meeting starts at 2 o'clock. So that's when the meeting is. Where is the meeting? So when is time, where is the place? So the meeting is going to be in the Shoreline conference room. So we know that we need to go to the Shoreline conference room to go to the meeting. When is Corey leaving? So this note says that Corey is leaving the office at 4. So we know that she's leaving at 4, right? When do you need, or what do you need to do before you leave? So what is it that you need to do before you leave? The note says, please remember to lock the doors. So that's what it means. It just means, please lock the doors before you leave. So that's what you need to do. So there are a couple things that this note says. It says, Corey's leaving at 4, and it's asking you to do something. It's asking you to lock the doors, and it's telling you where the keys are. This one is telling you that there's a meeting, what time it's at, and where it's at. Let me know if you have any questions.